people don't typically care about brands.
I have that fear that people will just think I'm like pushing it down their throats.
I'm
I'm done.
done.
You won't hear from me.
Yeah.
I just don't really understand that because it's like, how else do you think I'm able to keep posting on this page? It's time to get loud. Welcome back to Loud Talk with Lavi, a podcast where we break down the walls of beauty standards one flaw at a time. Hi, Brooke. Thank you so much for coming on Loud Talk. I can't believe we're sitting here because, like, we've already talked about this, but how just crazy that things all happen kind of for a reason. So just give a bit of background to the listeners. So you are the founder of Jellco, a acne safe makeup brand, and your video absolutely just blew up on TikTok within these past few weeks, and that's how I saw it. I came across your brand, I placed an order, and then we connected, messaged back and forth. I asked you to come on the pod, and you were like, "Oh, I'll actually be in your city," so we were like, "Perfect, we'll film it in person." So you're like my first official like guest on the podcast in person, which is so cool. I'm so excited about this. Yeah, we've just, yeah, of course. I'm excited to talk to you all things like business, acne, like all the stuff. And we've been spending like the last like hour and a half getting to know each other, so I'm really excited to get into this. So first off, let's go like a little bit into your background and what kind of brought you to like where you are today with the brand. Did you always know like growing up that you wanted to like go down the entrepreneurial path?
Definitely didn't know I wanted to always go down the entrepreneurial path, but I definitely wanted to have my own makeup line. I wanted to create my own makeup just because I loved it so much. But no, it was never like a goal for me to be like CEO boss woman type thing. Like that wasn't the plan at all. Yeah, no.
Okay. So like what got you like into makeup? Like were you always into makeup like as a kid too?
It was YouTube.
Okay.
Like
That was same for me.
I like fell in love with YouTube, and that's all I did is I watched like when the beauty community was huge. That was like my favorite thing to do. Yeah,
Same.
just binge watch YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and then try to follow my own makeup tutorials.
Right.
And yeah.
No, that was such a time. Like I don't think anyone like now, like growing up on TikTok will understand
that era.
The era and the obsession. Like the way I was showing up to school in like full beat glam. For where was I going? But it was such a vibe. And you mentioned that you also did YouTube at the time too.
Yeah, that was like my favorite hobby, I guess. When I was in high school, I started a YouTube channel, and I would just film makeup tutorials and play around with makeup, and yeah.
It was like such an outlet. Like I know for me as well, like that's how I started. My brother actually made my channel for me because he would see me watching all these YouTube videos, and then I'd like make a video on the photo booth, but like it would go nowhere. I'd just like sit there doing like my makeup. And then he's like, "You should just post on YouTube too." And I was like, "I can never." And then he just made me an account, and like the rest is history. But I don't know, there was just something about like making a YouTube video and like doing your makeup.
It was fun. I also really liked the video editing part of it.
Yes,
all.
yeah,
Just sitting in bed for hours, like playing around with the edits and stuff like that. Yeah.
So like, how long did you do YouTube for? Like, you don't post now, do you?
No, I stopped posting like probably halfway through university.
Okay.
I just kind of stopped, but that was a while though. Like I started making videos when I was 16.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know what the math is there.
Yeah, no, I relate to I started at 14, so it's just like, I don't know. I think it also really, I always say like I almost grew up not only watching YouTube and all that, but also just like presenting to a camera and like it I think it really does develop you as like a kid. And like I don't know about you, but did you have people that like said something at school about your videos or?
No, I'm actually kind of shocked by that. Like, because people did know that I posted videos, and I would hear them kind of making fun of posting YouTube videos in general, but no one ever maybe they said it behind my back, but nobody ever said it directly to my face, like anything.
Interesting, yeah. I don't think I had like, I mean, when I was in high school, I only had like 2,000 subscribers, but people definitely knew. I think the worst thing was like I walked to my math class one day and like my video was playing because the math teacher like put it on the projection. I was insane. Traumatized. Yeah, that was a little like imagine just walking and like seeing your face like and like people are just like, oh, like you have YouTube, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing.
That's super stressful.
But I don't think I got like that much hate. People always ask me like, oh, like, you know, you got this views or this, and I'm like, because my channel was super small at the time, so I'm like trying not to let the haters hate, because I think it's always like people will make fun of it until it's like legit.
Yeah, definitely. I did get weird comments on my YouTube.
Oh, on your videos?
Yeah, like on my actual videos, people would make, but they were just obvious troll comments. Like they'd be like, "You have like bitchy eyebrows" or something, and I'm like,
what does that even like? What does that even mean?
Yeah, so
I think
weird comments more so than anything.
But I think that does kind of like either way, like kind of create like more tough, like thick skin, like for especially when you're growing up like at that age, like it could either like make or break you, because like you obviously saw the comments like straight up being like troll comments, but like because people always ask me, how do you like handle the comments, and I'm like, you always just have to realize like they're just hating to hate, like you can't take any of it personally. Yeah, it's almost just like fun for them. They're like, what's the weirdest, and they almost want you to respond, like that's the whole, they want to like get at you, some kind of a reaction. Okay, so you did YouTube till you were like, you said like in high school, or sorry, like in university, like, okay. And then what made you like want to stop? That you just like kind of lost like passion for it, or? Yeah, like I kind of mentioned when we were talking earlier, but I started to get acne when I was in school, and then it just wasn't really fun for me anymore because I was like just putting it on to cover up my acne, and it just felt like a chore, and I just kind of, it just was, because it was originally a fun thing for me to do. It was like a hobby, film videos, play with makeup, and it just didn't feel fun anymore. So I was like, and also the beauty community was kind of dying too. True. So like all the drama, everything like blew up. Yeah, the inspiration was kind of dead too, and I'm like, oh, this is just not it anymore. Yeah. Not enough people talk about like that love-hate relationship with makeup when you struggle with acne, because I had the same experience where it felt like such a chore, and I felt like, because I love doing like super bold eye looks and like the cut crease and like the fake lashes, all of that. So when I started getting acne, I felt like, okay, for me to do those fun makeup looks, I have to sit here and like cake on a like heavy foundation to like conceal that. But I think honestly, like for me, the timeline was a little bit different, but I started like falling back in love with makeup actually during COVID, because I wasn't going anywhere. So I'm like, well, I don't need to like put on the foundation. So I would just like play with makeup without like doing the rest of it. And then I was like, oh wait, I actually kind of like this like lighter coverage look where I can still see my skin. Like obviously like I'm so bothered by the fact that I have acne, but like it was just letting me kind of accept my skin more with a full face of makeup on. So that was like an interesting, and then I just started like posting about that, and I think like that gained a lot of traction because people weren't used to seeing like a full glam look with like little to like no coverage. That was like I remember seeing one of your videos. Oh really? Yeah, and that was one of the first times I had seen somebody do kind of like a full glam look but without foundation, and I remember thinking like that looks so good. That's crazy. Like it's crazy how life works that way. You know, like you just like I truly think like you're meant to meet certain people. Like we like we're supposed to like cross paths for sure, but that's crazy that you like mentioned that you saw that like those types of videos from me. But yeah, I was posting it because like it was, well, it was helping me, and the fact that it was helping others as well was also helping myself, because I'm like, okay, like if people can look at this and be like, that's awesome, then like I should think that about like myself too. So it was like a win-win situation. But yeah, like people don't talk about, and not only that with the makeup, but also like when you have acne, removing the makeup I think creates like even more of a hate for it. Yeah, because it's like you have to go through that process of like taking it off and like looking at your like real skin in the mirror after, and it's just not a fun process. No, that's actually such an important point that I feel like nobody talks about at all. But I felt like I had an identity crisis when I had acne, because like I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror. Literally that. Nobody talks about that, because it's literally you feel, and then you look at like past photos of yourself and you don't recognize yourself, and it's so weird. It's this weird like you like literally don't know who you're looking at in the mirror. I only recognize myself with makeup on. Yeah. And then when I would take it off, it would like scare me. Yeah. And it would upset me so much. I like didn't even want to look. I would just like only want to look at myself with makeup. Yeah. So what age did you start getting acne at? Like right before
university, like the year before university. So I would have been like 18 or
Okay.
17 or something like that.
That's interesting. I also got like cystic acne at that point. Like I had acne like in my teen years always,
Yeah.
but not like super cystic. But then when I turned like 18, so yeah, like my first year of university, I got like really bad cystic acne like all down here, and I was like, what the hell?
Which makes a lot of sense because it's like such a transition period of your life.
Right.
So much is
So we don't think
changing.
about that. And it's like almost like it's not talked about because you just think, and anyone I would talk to, they'd be like, oh, like you'll grow out of it. Like
Yeah.
once you're like once you're done being a teenager, it'll just go away and not we're supposed to think that's not normal to be like breaking out
as an adult,
but you're so right that it is a big like transition period.
Yeah, and I think adult acne is becoming a lot more common.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, especially in women. Like people
really?
Yeah, well, because like so many women, like even like after like giving birth, their like hormones like change so much that you get acne all of a sudden, right? So it's like it should be talked about because it like happens to so many people, but it's like so looked down upon.
It's like 80% of people experience acne
at some point. Or
Yeah.
And I think in Western, like I've looked into this too, like Western civilizations, like acne is a lot more common just because of like the food here and like the like
it's more stressful.
Yeah. So it's a big thing. And I know like just having acne in itself, like you can feel so judged. Like I know for me, when I used to work like my 9 to 5 in like a very professional setting, I felt that people wouldn't take me as seriously if I like when I had acne or like if I didn't show up with like a full face of makeup on because they would see me as like super young.
Yeah, I know like a youthful trait.
Yeah, I know I've been talking to like my boyfriend about this. Like he doesn't have acne anymore, but when he did, I think he was like 23 or something like that. And he always said that people thought he was like a teenager. And he's like, I'm out here trying to get like jobs and everyone thinks I'm so young. So
I have such a baby face. I feel like that has always been a thing for me. But the acne definitely is another element. It just makes you look even more youthful. First, you have like more oily skin. You have more breakouts. It's just you look younger. But
I did hear that people who tend to have acne actually look more youthful like when we're a lot older. Just because of like the oil. So you'll just be looking well, and because of like all the treatment products and stuff that we use to like
you're just using more skincare,
and then you're also like more diligent about like sunscreen and protection and all that. So I think just like all in all, you're just taking better care of your skin. But okay, so you started breaking out like at the start of university, you said, and at that point where you were already kind of thinking of like plans to potentially start your own brand.
Yeah, I was always wanting to start my own makeup line, and it was kind of in the back of my head, like whenever I was in class, if someone said something that was kind of a good tip or something in relation to business, I would kind of jot it down.
Make sure you take note.
But I was never super serious about it. It was just kind of always in the back of my head. Yeah, at that point, for sure.
And then you graduate, and then you're like, let's just do this.
I feel like I had a classic year after graduation of like, what do I do? And I was applying to a bunch of jobs, and it's really hard when you first graduate to get a job when you don't have experience.
I think most people just assume like you graduate and you just like get out there, and it's like no.
Not the case. So I remember applying a lot, and then I wasn't hearing back a ton, and it kind of made me question if it was even what I wanted to do. And I just started kind of thinking like, what else would I maybe want to do instead? And then that kind of was always in the back of my mind. So when COVID hit and I had a lot more time, I started working on it at that point. Yeah.
Very cool, very cool. And okay, so how'd you like you knew you wanted to do like makeup? So obviously, do you think the fact that you started developing acne then kind of influenced you to make an acne safe brand? Because you did mention like you were looking at like your ingredients more on your products and just like deep diving on that. And obviously like seeing how they affected your skin. So obviously that came into play like with your makeup brand. So how did that kind of all come together?
Yeah, that was during COVID. I had so much more time, and I started just researching like crazy because I just felt let down like time and time again with so many doctors and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I have the time. I'm gonna do the research myself and try to figure out what's going on, like what's going on with my skin, what products I should be using. And after I did all that research, I realized that a lot of products are not suitable for acne prone skin.
Right.
And that was super shocking to me. I couldn't believe that. And then in combination with kind of finishing school and everything, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but that was always in the back of my head that I kind of wanted to start a makeup line. Everything was sort of clicking. It just like made sense. Yeah.
That makes sense for sure. And then how'd you come up with the name?
Yeah, the name. So basically, I was looking at the brand values. And so the thing with Jellco is I wanted it to always be like a very transparent company. And I also wanted it to kind of be about embracing your natural features
I
in
love
your
that
skin.
so much.
Yeah, so I thought the jellyfish is perfect because it just goes with the flow, like it never resists anything, and they're also super beautiful. And then also obviously the formula I wanted to be a gel because it's good for your skin. So I was like, that's perfect.
I love like the double meaning there, and the whole embracing, like, because I think that's the whole point of makeup, right? And that's why so many of us love it. Like, it's just so fun, such a nice outlet, and like you really can accentuate your features to like make yourself feel like the most confident, beautiful version of yourself. But it's when it gets like too far where you're kind of resenting like how you look without it. So I think like, and as we already mentioned, like with the videos I used to do where I would only focus on the accentuating my features and not the covering part. I think that plays into like all of it. So I love that that's like the core value of your brand. And you started it like all on your own. So obviously, like, did you kind of have a route like you want to take? Did you have like family members or people that like were in the entrepreneurial space, or was it all like blank canvas, like in the dark figuring out like what you're gonna do?
Yeah, nobody in my family has started their own business or anything. It was just kind of like bootlegging it from the beginning, just kind of taking it one step at a time, like one Google search at a time, like to learn as much as possible and just reach out to as many people as possible for info.
Right. And then you started it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And how was like the starting days of it? Like looking back now, like 3 years later, was it what you expected? Are there things that you like wish you would have known? That you can like tell someone maybe who's like thinking about starting a brand?
I wish I knew how hard it was gonna be. Because people always say starting a business is hard. But for some reason, I think just because I was so passionate about the idea, I kind of like went in one ear and out the other. I was like, yeah, it's hard. Like I've done hard things. Like
I hear this so much, even for myself. Like when I started my brand, I think it's not only passion, but I think it's a little bit of like just a bit of being naive too, of being like, well, I don't know, like and also just like thinking the product's so good because obviously like, you put your heart and soul into it that you're like obviously people are just gonna like love it, and you don't really think about like why would ever not work, let's say.
Yeah, but also back then I was like, it's gonna be like a year of hard work. It's not gonna be. I didn't realize how long it was gonna take.
Right.
How much hard work it would be for such an extended period of time, which is ignorant. It's like even if it took a year and it took off, it would still be hard work forever.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so you launched, and like what was like, first of all, like what was kind of the response from like your friends and family? Like were they like all supportive of you starting a business? Were some of them like doubtful of it?
Yeah, like supportive, I guess. They were kind of like, okay, yeah, we could see you doing that. It kind of makes sense. But also never directly, but always kind of there was a vibe that it was like I don't know if you should do that, or like little comments about it that was made it clear that they weren't really taking it seriously that I was doing it. I think they thought like it's not
like
gonna
your little
last.
business.
Yeah, like it's not gonna last. It's like a cool idea that she has and she'll be over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like ride it out type thing. Yeah. I remember all the time getting comments, especially from like family or friends of family and stuff like that, ask me like how my little videos were doing, and like
the little of it all is just
I'm like, why do you have to add that word in?
Yeah.
But it was such a flip because like now, because it's my full-time job, like people actually take it so seriously, whereas like it's the exact same people that were calling it my little like thing, my little videos that I'd film in my room, to like now who are like, oh my gosh, like how did you grow this? And I'm like, through my little videos. That's how I grew it. But I think it's the same with a brand. Like even like when we launched 9 to 5, it was a lot of either people who are doubtful. I think a lot of people too, like they see the huge success stories, but they just don't think that it's like real people behind them type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or on the other hand, they do think it's like gonna be super easy and they don't actually know like how much goes into it and all of that.
It makes sense because it's like, what is so hard about it, you know, because people are doing these insanely difficult physical labor
Right.
jobs. So it's like, what is so hard? Sending an email, like it's hard to wrap your brain around how it could be difficult.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think like people hear these success stories of brands, and I don't know if you've probably experienced this in the 3 years you've been doing this, but like just in the last year of us running 9 to 5, just the comparison, like the constant comparison to like other brands, or being like, well, this brand blew up or this brand's doing this, and it's like, yeah, well, they've either been around for longer, they have investors behind them, or they're just doing their own thing, you know, like it's a different thing. So I don't know, have you have had like any of that comparison?
Yeah, I feel like the unsolicited advice is crazy. Like
Oh
everyone,
my gosh, we could go
yeah,
I
and
think
it's
for
like
that.
feedback is obviously helpful and advice is helpful and stuff like that, but to a point, the unsolicited advice sometimes feels a little much.
Mm-hmm.
And it is crazy the confidence that people have when they don't have a background in that thing.
That's the difference, I think. Because, like, I'm
yeah.
always happy to take advice from, you know, even just talking to you. Like, we've done very different things in our business. Like, would be like, hey, Brooke, like, what do you think about that? Like, that's so different than someone who's never, like, done anything of that sort. And when it's not asked about either, when you're not, like, seeking the advice,
Yeah.
What's, like, if you can remember, like, what's some of the worst unsolicited advice you've gotten in terms of your business?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
I think for me it was just like just being compared to like these like huge conglomerates. It's like, well, they're in a little bit of a different situation than us.
yeah.
But you founded the whole thing, you bootstrapped the whole thing
Yes.
yourself. Okay, cool. And so you obviously like let's talk about the TikTok and everything that just blew up for you the past few weeks, because you said you were kind of at your breaking point. So to put into context, well, I guess you can kind of explain kind of the journey of like even making that TikTok and all of that.
Yeah, so I was posting on TikTok because I didn't have an ad budget. All of my money went into the development of the product, which wasn't the plan, obviously. Like that's some of the comments that I've gotten is like, well, that was just a horrible decision in the first place. I'm like, but that was never the plan.
Not, yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't have an ad budget, so I was posting on TikTok, but it's really hard as a brand. Like people don't typically care about brands, generally speaking, on social.
It's so different. I know for me, I've noticed such a huge difference, because I feel like I know social media really well,
Yeah.
but making content like as a personal person, like I can get the views, I can get the engagement, but then as soon as I post like even a similar type video on the brand, I feel like I swear it's once people see that it's like the brand name there, like they're just like so
It's
tuned
like
out.
when you post on your personal, but it's like a promoted post.
Yeah,
That's what it feels like
it
to
does,
them.
yeah, because you're also like you're the owner, you're obviously gonna like shout out this product and be enthusiastic about it, but people just see so much bias there that they're like over it. So you were posting on TikTok, kind of just the journey that led you to like making that video and being like
Oh yeah.
super transparent about everything.
Yeah, so I was posting on TikTok on the brand page and
Yeah.
I wasn't getting any traction at all. I was posting with the product and what made it different and all the things, and it just wasn't taking off. And then I just kind of started really liking TikTok. I thought it was fun. I liked the skincare community, and I had so much knowledge at that point that I was like, I should make videos.
Yeah, for sure.
And share what I've learned. So I started posting on like a personal page. And I did that for, I don't even know, like months. It's just like super slow, slow growth, slow building. But it was like so fulfilling to me doing that, just getting to talk to people who have had such similar experiences as me. And I did post about the brand a couple of times, and the feedback was not good.
Really?
It was like, you just want to sell us stuff, like you don't care
It's
about us.
always that. It's always that. Like you're trying to sell, and it's like I think like again, like we kind of meant like talked about this a bit earlier, but it's just how people, it's so like hit or miss when you like announce something or share something, and it's like it's really how people decide to look at it. Like they could look at it as like, oh, you're just trying to sell something, or it can be like, oh, Brooke's trying to like share something that she's created because like her passion for skin and she wanted to take that a step further. and develop. And I think some people either look at brands as just like these like money makers, or they actually look at the brand for the brand, the value they actually add to society.
Yeah, for sure.
That's wow. And I like I don't even know why I'm surprised that you got comments like that, because like I get comments like that all the time. Like I mean like, oh, I'm just trying to make more money out of this brand. And I'm like, if that was like actually the case, like
I would quit.
Well, I would not be making this little advertisement video for the brand then. But
completely.
It's like what like so it was a lot of those comments of just like people saying
that was
just trying
pretty
to push
much
it.
Exclusively the comments that I got on those videos was like, oh, okay, so basically we're gonna discredit everything that you've posted on this page because you're
trying to sell something.
And to be transparent, it is the reason why I started the page, was because I started liking TikTok and getting into the skincare community from having a Jellco page. Yeah. But that wasn't my intentions. Like, the page was, let me just sell.
Well, and even like as an influencer, like when I post an ad, people will be like, well, how are we supposed to believe this because it's an ad? Or like, nah, I'm not gonna like trust you anymore because you post ads. And it's like at the end of the day, like, yes, I'm a creator and like I'm so grateful for everyone who watches me, but at the same time, like if you support me as a viewer, you also need to support my ads, because you don't need to like go buy the product by no means. Like you don't even need to comment on the video, but like don't comment hate on it, because like I just don't really understand that, because it's like, how else do you think I'm able to keep posting on this page at the rate that like you guys want me to, if it's not my full-time job? And for it to be my full-time job, I need to be taking sponsorships every now and then, right?
Yeah, and also I think people don't realize how many things you turn down. Like, I'm sure you get so many emails.
Not everything's
I get emails and I have a super tiny account.
And not everything is a fit. Not everything like will make sense for me to be talking about. Not every product I'm gonna love, right? So, and there's like obviously like seasons where I'm posting more ads and seasons not, but even like with the personal brand, like I don't know why, like I don't know if you feel this way, but it's almost like I feel like I shouldn't be sharing my personal brand. Like I feel like, because probably of those comments like that, I have that fear that people will just think I'm like pushing it down their throats when I'm just like trying to share. Obviously, like in a way it's a promotion, of course. No brand can work without it having like consistent sales, or else like it's not going to survive. But I think at the end of the day, like people forget the purpose behind it and why you're doing it in the first place.
I think it's because there's so many brands that are ingenuine, where because every brand has, as a marketing thing, they have like their own purpose. They have their mission, their vision, like all of those things they develop to create this fake brand persona. So really every brand has a purpose, but a lot of them are just for the sake of marketing.
Right.
So I think people as consumers are so used to that they just assume automatically that it's like, oh, this is just a marketing tactic and it's not your actual story.
Right. It's like a
yeah.
It's like a front. For sure, that totally could be it. And also I think TikTok has really made it or just social media in general, for like founders to come on and like be and small businesses to like actually be out here and shown, because like before that it was kind of hard to like start up your own thing unless you did have the advertising budget, which is, I don't know, it's just so hard to pay for conventional media, so I just like don't really think people are used to like the actual founders, or like seeing a face to the brand of like someone behind it, because usually it's like a team of people or like a rep or something, that's coming to the front of it. So I just don't think people are used to seeing that. And if anything, people kind of just assume the worst, which is sad. Like obviously some people maybe are posting with those intentions, but I think if people like, I don't know, I think everyone just has to have a little bit of more positivity towards like people in general.
Yeah, just to not think the worst immediately. Yeah, I think that's definitely true.
So did that kind of like discourage you from sharing your brand more on your personal page?
Yeah, after that, like I tried a couple of times and then it was just,
because that's the same thing that I literally I was sharing it and I was getting just such negative comments that, and we've mentioned
it's like
that
message received. Okay,
it's like I'm done. You won't hear from me.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this too, when it's like someone can like call me like the ugliest person alive, I don't care, but say like that you hate my brand, and I'm like
it actually
it hurts. Or I don't even think like hate like my brand necessarily, but telling me like to not talk about it, or like that you don't want to hear about it. I think that almost hurts more, because I was so excited to share it that I thought people would share that same excitement with me. And when people are so unenthusiastic about it, it does kind of, you're just like, okay, like you said, message received. And I even told my business partner at the time, I'm like, I know we like kind of assumed that I would be doing a lot of the promos with my like following and stuff.
Yeah.
But at that point, I told him, like, at least for a few months, I don't want to post anything 9 to 5 related on my personal accounts because I think it's hurting my personal brand.
It's scary. Yeah, it's scary too because it's like you don't want everyone, because that is your living too, to a degree. So it's like you don't want everyone to just write you off completely and be like, oh no, we're done with her, we don't like her.
That's what I mean. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm not doing that on my personal. Like, I'm not gonna share, like, if I'm using it in like a get ready with me and I'm just like using it, but I'm not gonna mention it explicitly. I'm not gonna push people to the side. I'm not gonna do any of that.
Yeah, I feel like the best way to explain it to people if you've never had a business is it's like, imagine anything you're super passionate about and you want to tell your close friends, and every time you go to tell them, they're clearly not interested. Like they're just like
don't
not
hear
showing
it.
any interest. It's sad. It's
or they like call it lame or like, and then it's like,
or
oh,
they say
I thought it was
something.
cool.
Yeah, or they make a comment like that, and then it's just like you're obviously never gonna want to talk about it.
No, and that's the same thing. So it's like that really turned me away. So it's great to hear like from someone else kind of like who understands that feeling, because I feel like I felt so alone with that in terms of like that just feeling of like almost.
I did too. I didn't think anyone else was having that.
Yeah, it's so weird to feel.
Other brands are like screening their comments or something, but I feel like I never saw people being like, don't talk about your brand, because there are other founders who have TikTok pages, and I feel like they're pretty positive.
Yeah, maybe it's
maybe
at least we found each other. But yeah, no, it's super interesting, and I was like, oh, okay, so glad that this thing I've been working on for a year and a half, you guys don't even want to hear like more about it, because I was just like teasing it, and people were just so like another one starting a brand, and I'm like, oh, nice. We're not into this, but so that really turned me off from posting anything. But recently, honestly, like I've been posting it more because it's like, you know what, this is something I'm working on. The people that like do actually love my content will hopefully see.
Yeah. And like going back to that analogy too, it's like you shouldn't let anyone stop you from talking about the things that you're passionate about. You'll just find the friends that actually do share that passion with you, right? Interested. Yeah.
So okay, you're posting about it there, and then you just kind of felt like you had to kind of give up the brand, kind of, right?
Yeah, like at that point, I launched in August, and it was already into this year.
August?
Yeah, last August. So it was already into this year, and I was like, we're showing no signs of anything like this taking off at all. So I was like, I have to make a living here. Like I'm gonna have to get.
You were like, this was the only thing you were like,
pretty much like I was doing some freelance work. That was pretty much it. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to get a full-time job and just kind of like put this to rest, It was sad. I was kind of proud of myself for even getting to that point of having the physical product and like getting to, because get to that point itself was a lot.
That was my thing too, because when I was having doubts about maybe I have to shut this down, or even when we launched in September. And I was telling my business partner, I'm like, I don't know, I just feel like we're like so behind in this, like there's so many brands, it's so saturated. He's like, but we started. He's like, we have the product, we have the brand, like we started, How many people still just have the idea in their head? Like we're already ahead of them. And I was like, you know what? That's such a way better perspective to look at it. And like same with you being like, it's actually, we might not be like booming with sales, but like we, like you just said, like we got to the point where we have the tangible product, we have the brand, like that's still a lot to get there,
Yes, it is. It's a lot. So yeah, I was still sad about it for sure, but I was like, it's still an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I'm just gonna give myself one more month. I feel like this is such a common story too.
Just like right at the breaking point is when it like starts, you see like, but it's honestly like I feel like it's if you make it past that, that's when you start to see like I guess like
I mean, obviously so many other people have the same story because you probably
that's the only way
gets to that point, then they either
but I feel like that is how it like you like I don't know if you ever follow like the cosmetics founder story.
No, I haven't.
Hers is insane because she literally was like we were literally so close to going bankrupt, and that's when things like just I kept pushing through. She's like, I did not accept no for an answer from anyone. She's like, I was working on it for like 10 years at this point, and then she sold to L'Oreal for what, $9 billion or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, 1.2 billion.
Incredible.
1.2 billion was the amount that she sold for. So it's like from going from like bankrupt, it's not going anywhere. She started making the products in her kitchen, which is like what we're doing for 9 to 5. So I'm like, she's such an inspiration to me. And then L'Oreal bought her brand like years later, but like
That's
she went through hell and back for it.
Like there's hardly any brands. They just like all own.
I know.
Giant
I know. For me, like,
but good for her. Like that's
yeah, no.
that's
And
awesome.
she was like, at that point, like I was, I grew the brand, I did all of that, and it's like she's like, at that point, I was ready to like move on to something new. So she was ready to like give it up. But people just see like that end part of it where it's like, oh, It Cosmetics is huge now, but they don't probably look into like everything that she went through before, So I think you do have to like really hit that rock bottom, and it's like if you do pass those tests, then you get to like kind of reap some of the like benefits of like actually getting through that, which is probably exactly what
I
was you like, felt. Yeah,
I'm giving myself one more month, and then I'm gonna start applying for jobs. And then I did like a really deep dive and like started thinking of ideas, and I'm like, I'm just gonna start posting about it. Like I'm gonna get over it, the fear, and if people hate it, they hate it, but I'm just gonna post. And then I started posting a couple of videos mentioning the reality of the situation. So that's the other thing too. I was like, I'm gonna keep posting about it, but I obviously can't do what I've been doing. It's not working.
No, yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just gonna be super honest and just like literally lay it all out on the table. Like this is my exact.
Because then at that point, it's like you had nothing more to lose. Like,
because people always say like share your story, but I feel like when people say that, you think that you should share this like
the success,
positive story. You shouldn't share a negative brand story.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that is my story though. Like it hasn't been glamorous at all. So I'm like, I will share my story. And that's what I did.
Well, you literally came on, you're like, I put $30,000 into this brand, and I think I can just shut down. Yeah. And I think people were like, whoa. So that's, I think, what like really gained that traction. You were just like super honest about it. And as you said too, like you've seen more brands like being transparent about it, which like you started a whole movement in that itself. And even just talking to you, I'm like, maybe I should be more transparent and not so I'm like on my social, I'm so like I don't care about what people say about my skin or like me as a person, but I care so much about the brand. Maybe I should just like go straight through that wall and not like really just like push myself to like go through that fear, because at the end of the day, like it is my brand, is my story. And I think when people just assume that like, oh, I'm like just an influencer, I just like it's another brand, like when I can be showing them that, hey, every Saturday I'm out here formulating, and every Tuesday, Thursday we're like out and about doing, so like I don't think people realize all the work I'm doing because I don't show it. So it's like it makes sense that people just make assumptions that I just like put my name on something and maybe I have like a team behind it, and it's like nope.
And I think that probably do think that because you do have such a big following, they're probably like, she has so many resources. Someone probably made this for her. Like
that's what so I think I'm doing it just talk more about even just the process of like me making up the formulas and like just even that. So
yeah. I think another thing is that a lot of people don't realize how different each business is. It's like they think, oh, everyone just, has the same stuff. Like you go to a manufacturer, you get all this stuff, you do this. It's like there's so many different manufacturers with completely different types of business practice, like different kinds of teams. Like there's so many different kinds of businesses you can have. Like they look completely different behind closed doors. Totally.
And even like just between our brands, like we do stuff so differently too. And just took like such different paths. Like I decided to go the route like of like trying to formulate on my own. That obviously has its own like issues too, because then I'm like sitting there packaging every order, but then there's so many like supply chain issues when you like go down the other route. So it's like there's always going to be different challenges that like each founder faces with their individual brand, even if it's like in the same like cosmetic like niche. There's so many different like individual things. So yeah, you basically went on camera, you were just like being super transparent, and then it literally just like blew up like crazy.
Yeah, I like distinctively remember sitting down to show my boyfriend the video because I'm like, is this insane to post? Like,
But you already
so-
posted at this point.
no, before, right
Okay,
before I
okay.
posted it. And he watched it and he was like, yeah, I think you should post it. He's like, it's definitely not gonna go viral or anything. Like, it's like I'm just
No
like,
way he said that.
word
Oh
for
my
word, he was like, it's
goodness.
definitely not like gonna go
But like,
crazy, but you could post it. I don't think it's like a bad thing to post. And then like of all things, that was the one thing that
that's how it
went
always
viral.
works. It's always the videos that you're like, oh, people are gonna love this, and then it gets literally no views, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, good for
The
people.
amount, the amount of videos I've literally like privated that I worked so hard on because I'm like, this is just no one cares about this. Like, I thought this was such an interesting topic. It's not.
I literally posted like a slideshow video the other day of like our journey with like emotional, and I was like tearing up watching the video because I'm like, we've come so far. Literally
No one
nobody
cares.
cared. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. It really just depends. Also, like, there's always like algorithm stuff that
Yeah.
sometimes you just like repost the video and it like does better the next time. But it's yeah, I do find it's always the ones that you don't expect to do well, and then it
Yeah.
just blows up. So how did you feel when like did you notice right away that I was gaining more traction?
So this is also interesting is that I'm usually like on my phone after I post it and I'm like super involved and like commenting and stuff like that. But I was kind of feeling overwhelmed at that point with everything. So I went to my parents for dinner that night and I put my phone, I literally never do this, put my phone in a drawer at their house because I was like, I don't even want to look at my phone, like screen free night. And then when I got in the car and I looked at my phone, the video had already started taking off. It wasn't that crazy. I think it was like over 100,000 views, but still like for my account,
What were you like usually getting?
if I got like if still to this day, if I get like 10,000 before
Yeah.
the day is over, I'm like, this is a success. Like this
Yeah.
is a good video. Yeah, this video is done really well. People like this stuff. But yeah, so that's when I realized I'm like, oh, this video is like doing better than usual. And I noticed I was getting sales too, which I was not expecting from that video either. At that point I had already gotten 30 sales, which for my small business was like dramatic.
Insane, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I had ever gotten 30 sales in a day at that
Yeah,
point.
no, that is insane.
Yeah,
That is
so
so cool.
I was so excited. I was literally freaking out in the car. And then when we got home, that's when Spencer Barbosa commented on it and reposted it. And then it just like took off like crazy after that. And we like didn't sleep that night. We were replying to comments
Yeah.
until like 3 a.m. or something for yeah.
And then she duetted it, right? Also, I thought.
She posted a video reviewing it.
Oh, she got it.
after.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Super cool. And then that
Yeah.
probably like created more traction around it.
Yeah, so that and it was crazy too because she posted the video when she got it like a week later or something. So it was like just starting to die down.
Oh,
but
and then it
just,
went
like
right back up.
yeah, ramped back up again.
So you've obviously been super busy like ever since, just like trying to keep up
Yeah.
with the orders and all that. Do you have any like, so I know like I'm trying to put myself like where you are now and like kind of relate it to even when I've had like content go viral, not with the brand because like that hasn't happened for us yet, but so like you had this like does it ever scare you of like, okay, what now?
Yeah, I remember a couple days after the video, I was like kind of freaking out to my boyfriend. I was like, how do we have to like keep this
Going the momentum,
Yeah,
yeah.
like how do we keep people interested? And because people's attention spans are so short, like mine is definitely really short. So I'm like, we gotta do something crazy next. Like, how are we gonna, keep people interested in this? Like a lot of people are commenting, I'm so invested in this and like the storyline. I'm like, I gotta give them something more to the
new,
story.
yeah.
Yeah, so I felt like a little bit of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But in an exciting way. Like I was like, what do we do next? So yeah, but things have definitely kind of calmed down. I have now realized like it's impossible to maintain that level of momentum. So that has kind of helped me just like relax a little
Right.
bit. Like that's not even possible. So
Yeah, but it's super cool, like so many new eyes on the brand and so many new people trying it and all of that, which is really cool because it's like at the end of the day, like it's something you created. I know like literally the other day we got like a subscription, which subscriptions always like hit different for me because it's like more of a commitment since like a monthly payment. And like this girl in Quebec subscribed and I got the email and I was like, oh my goodness, like I literally was so happy because obviously we've had like friends and family order and stuff, but when it's like someone
a stranger
you don't know, like literally across the country, I was like so, and it was literally one order and I was so excited because I'm like, this is so freaking cool that someone's placing an order and like willing to try our brand. And then they like DM'd us like, I'm so excited about this, like can't wait to get my boyfriend on it too. And I was like, this is so exciting.
You like never forget those orders.
No, never. And I think like that's more the reality of it. And it's like it's not this huge like orders are just coming in constantly, like money's flowing, like it's not that at all. And it's really just like so much hustle for, and then when you do like get one or two orders here and there, it's like this is like you just have like that hope, but I also think it's so grounding at the same time. And although it's hard, like it's so hard, I always try and think back to even my journey on social media because like for the longest time I was felt so frustrated because I'm like I'm putting in so much work and I'm not like seeing the results. And now that I am, I'm honestly like very grateful for that upbringing because I think it taught me like the patience and the hard work and like what it does take to like build that. I think if I would have like gone viral like right off the bat, gotten a huge following, I don't think I would have appreciated it the same because it would have just been like so quick. So I think with the brand too, like when I started posting on the brand, I was like almost disappointed because I'm like so used to like the views I get and stuff personally. But I was like, you know what? Like this is a new thing. I have to remember how I started on social media literally 10 years ago with no one watching. Like it's literally brand new. Same with this podcast. I'm like, it's brand new. We're taking this from the ground up. And like I just have to like really focus on like every individual view that I get. And then over time, like with the work and stuff, it'll just like build. So
yeah. I feel like people talk so much about the overnight success stories because they are so incredible. It's like that's insane for people to get overnight success
but is it ever overnight success? That's my thing.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Because like some people like maybe there's some people who like saw your brand now too and they're like, oh, like one of her videos went viral and like boom, now she's like an overnight success where really in the background you've put in 3 years of work into this, you know?
Yeah.
And even people like social media people like Monet, you know, like she went super viral this year, but she's actually been posting on YouTube like for like years.
Yeah, same with Tara Yummy. She was like posting for ages. And then this year she went like really crazy.
Yeah. So it's like I think a lot of people like forget to kind of like check like the the previous work because it's like it is a very much overnight success, but like the success itself, but the kind of road to that overnight success I don't think was so instant for maybe there are cases of course that are like
I definitely know a couple cases where it was like literally
overnight,
just, like, overnight,
which I'm sure happened, but like I think
super rare.
And I think a lot of times people what people categorize as overnight, they probably just don't see
they don't have all the facts,
the background of it. Yeah, totally because even like for me, people just assume, oh, I've just been on TikTok for a couple years and I'm like, I've been making content since I was 14 years old, you know? So, but like people just don't see that because like they didn't know about you then. So like, why would they, right? So it's definitely very, very interesting. And I think, I don't know, I think it's also like humbling and it grows, you know, so grows you as a brand because then you're like, oh, this is going to be a lot more work than I
feel like no, well, there's probably more things, but it's one of the most humbling things ever. Right. To like put such a stamp of approval on something that you worked so hard for and like announce it to everybody and then it just be like crickets. Yeah,
that's so exactly how I felt and I haven't been able to relate to anybody on that because like I just like I literally have not been able to talk to anyone about that, so it's like so great to like connect with you on that because I'm like, okay, I'm not like alone in that and I feel like I no longer feel bad for like feeling that way because that's like there's just how
the shame is gone because it's like
that's just how I felt and I feel like now I'm like screw it, I'll just post like whatever post about it because like like at the end of the day like I put in the time and the work and
see like you are genuinely passionate about it the more that you're posting about it, right?
Yeah I don't know, I think it's good to like go through those times because I think it makes you appreciate like obviously it's hard like going through that and being like okay no one's like caring about this, but I think now like that you are getting like all these orders and stuff, I think it makes you really appreciate every single order like
Yeah.
so much more.
Yeah, totally. Like I can imagine that I would have been so grateful if it had happened in the beginning, but there's no way I would have been the same level as now because it's just like,
Because then you would have thought that was like the norm.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
would have thought, okay, like yeah, the second I launched, and then maybe later down the line when you launched like a new product and it didn't get like that instant success, then you would have been like, what the hell?
yeah, like bummed out instead
Yeah.
of being grateful
Yeah.
for each order.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's kind of your goals with the brand like now, like in this next like year and after getting like more traction now and more eyes on it, like are you hoping to like what are your goals? Like I know for me, like one of my huge goals is like retail for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared of retail a little bit just because I've heard so many
Horror
stories.
stories, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is kind of crazy. But it is still a goal of mine. I would love like so much if it was in Sephora. That would be such a dream. But
I could see it being there.
yeah,
Give it a couple years, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Right now I just want to have more products.
Yeah.
That's like what I'm super focused
Mm-hmm.
on.
Especially because like now you'll have like these people like trying out the blush and like seeing it and stuff, and then they'll probably be
Yeah.
excited to try it more
In
from you.
hindsight, I'm like, it would have made more sense to make what I'm making now first.
Mm.
But obviously hindsight's always
Yeah.
2020. So yeah, I'm working on another product now, and then I hopefully will have another product in the works by the end of this year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
I want to have like a whole set you can use together
Yeah.
for your face. Hopefully by next year.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
No, that's so amazing. I could definitely like see in a couple like few years like just full
Full
range. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I don't. It's never been done before. I don't think. I like a full acne safe makeup line.
Yeah,
I haven't
that's
seen
very
it.
much like that's the whole. I think a lot of products are like like they have the line and they're like, oh, these are also acne safe, but yours is like that's the center
Yeah.
around your products, and just the fact that it's like, as you mentioned, like embracing your like natural features. Like I haven't tried the blush yet, but I placed my order. I'm super excited to try it, and just seeing it like applied on you and like the videos I've seen online, like it just looks so like natural and radiant on the skin. It really is like it doesn't even look like, at least from the photos I've seen, like it doesn't even look like makeup. It just really enhances the
Yeah,
natural
it really
skin.
doesn't. And this is like maybe kind of weird to say. But whenever I would do a full face of makeup, I feel like whenever I would go into the mirror, like when you would go for like a night out,
Yeah.
you go close to the mirror and you're just kind of like, what the heck happened to my makeup? Like
It just like disintegrates.
yeah, it's like I don't even recognize myself
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now, like what's going on. And this like gel that I made for like it's like a bronzing gel.
Yeah.
That with the blush is like the first time where I've had a couple drinks out at a night and I've gone up to the mirror and I'm like, oh my god,
I
like,
look normal.
I think
I feel like that lighting too, like anywhere like out like in a bathroom.
yeah, it's so awful.
It's so awful. So you look at yourself, you're like, oh my god. And then you're like, especially if you go out to like a club or something and you're like starting to sweat stuff, and you look in the mirror like,
yes.
I'm sorry.
But it was so interesting to me because I always thought it was like just such a daytime, like everyday thing. And it is like it's
But it lasts.
It's very natural, but it's actually like so flattering on nights out because you're like sweating and you're
and then it just adds to the glow and it works with the
Yeah.
glow. Yeah. No, I totally get that. And I think I sometimes say too, like I honestly think lighter, more natural makeup actually looks so much better on like textured acne prone skin than like full coverage. Like I feel like my skin looks better when even if my acne is showing and I just have like a light layer of makeup than like a full coverage product that is actually covering my acne. Like I just think it looks so much better.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I feel like I've never found products that don't get like cakey on because it's so hard because breakouts are obviously like oily, but they're also like dry and there's texture. It's like
I always have people ask me like, how do you not have your makeup like completely disintegrate off a pimple? Because I swear like anywhere you have the pimple, that's where the makeup just like completely like dissolves off of it and breaks up. So no, I'm so excited to try it out. And I do want to ask you because I feel like for me, it took me a while to like start loving blush, and now I actually love blush, especially like with my scars, because I feel like it just like blends everything together and makes it look like more cohesive rather than like the actual like hyperpigmentation and
so you
stuff.
don't just notice the spots.
Yeah, it's like it just like blends my acne together and it like looks really nice. But I used to really hate blush because I thought it was just like accentuating my acne. So like what was your thought process with that, and what was your process with like launching a blush as like an acne safe product?
So for me, whenever I had acne, my like complexion was so dull. Like I felt like I looked like a corpse. I was like, I just don't look healthy. And that was like one of the things that I struggled with the most when I had acne, was like I just didn't feel like I looked healthy. And whenever I put on blush, I feel like it looked like I had this blood
Radiant,
flow, radiant.
I feel the exact same way with that.
Yes.
But I know a lot of people are like afraid of blush.
No, I totally get that. Yeah, I totally get that. But anything that just gave me like a glow and a little bit of color, that just made me feel like I looked so healthy. And honestly, like you said, it almost kind of blends the acne way. Like even now, when I get a breakout and I do that kind of makeup, I don't notice it as much. No. It just kind of looks like it's just there. Yeah, it's just like there, and I don't know, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, and if anything, I kind of use the blush as like my like coverage. Yeah. In those areas, and I just think it just like looks overall more like radiant and skin like versus like, which I'm so happy about, because like the trends a few years ago with makeup was just like matte, no color, and then if you had acne, you just like end up like looking so like dull too. So that's super cool. Wow, like that. I'm actually like so excited about this like for you, and I'm so happy that we got to connect. I guess before we end off here, like what do you wish that people would know more about the realities of like running a small business?
Yeah, like I kind of said before, I just wish people knew how hard it was. Like, I think if you really knew how difficult it was, you'd be so much less likely to leave hateful comments or to want to support. Like, even myself, I totally get it too, because if you don't know, you just don't know. But even before, I'm like, I've always been on a budget, and small brands tend to be more expensive because you have to do way smaller order quantities, and they
just
get
even
cheaper.
The shipping and like the resources we have.
Everything is more expensive as a small business. Once you can order like large quantities and stuff, like everything goes down. So I was always kind of like, I just want to get something like affordable, this and that. But now I'm like so much more empathetic, and like I also see so much more beauty in small businesses, because it's like so much effort goes into crafting every detail. So I just,
and the thought, like you know that there was thought put behind like every single
so much
thing.
care behind it. So now I'm like,
especially because like we don't have the resources, like we really have to think each decision through and each like packaging and everything, because like we don't have the money to be like, oh, scratch that, restart, like like we have to really think about every single thing so deeply.
So I guess like kind of different answers, because like I wish people knew that about what it's like to start a business, just so there's like more empathy involved, and also just more appreciation for like the art of the things that people are creating. It's really beautiful what people are creating. But then for people who are trying to start a business, I feel like it's a different answer. Like I wish, like I hope those people know that like you just have to take it one step at a time. It seems like impossible
overwhelming to do. I know I felt like that in the start, 'cause I'm like, where do I even start? Like, I was like so lost, but I was like, okay, one thing at a time. Like today I'm just gonna like focus on bottles, tomorrow I'm gonna focus on just the brand name or like whatever, you just really have to take it like one day at a time.
Yeah, it's like I've had a lot of people say that they want to start a business, and they're like, where do I start? It's like you just
start.
Google something. Like
jot an idea down.
If you need branding, like Google, what do I need to have a brand, like a brand identity, and then just start doing it, just like one step at a time, instead of getting overwhelmed by like.
I think building off that, like don't leap into like, okay, I want a brand without even like having the idea. Like I think you need to have like almost the idea.
You cannot stress this enough. You can't do it for the money.
Oh well, first off that,
the money doesn't come. So if you want to start a business just for the sake of
it ain't gonna work.
A boss and like making money.
No. Don't do anything else, because like anything else is. I say the same thing with people who are like, I want to be a content creator because it looks so much fun. You like,
make so much
and I'm
money.
like, and when people tell me, oh, I was posting for 4 months, nothing was working, I always tell them, post for 4 more years and then we can chat. Because I'm like, because they think, oh, I don't want to go to post secondary, I just want to do this, and I'm like, okay, well, just the same as with a university degree, you put 4 years into work, you're not making any money, and you come out of it not even knowing if you will get a job. So you're just like, you're just investing into yourself. Same thing with a brand. Put 40K into it, put 4 years into it, and then like see where it goes. But I just think, yeah, like people think that, oh, I'm gonna do this to make money, and it's like not. Don't do it, and yeah, don't do it for the wrong reasons, and don't say like, okay, I want to start a brand. What are my, like, let's think of some ideas. I would say like really dig into, okay, what am I passionate about and what skills do I have that can actually like benefit society and like other people.
Feel like everything is aligning and making perfect sense. It's just not it. Like, in my opinion, it's like your background.
So you're kind of forcing the idea. You're forcing like the idea of a brand to make a brand. Yeah. At
that point, and it's
you're not being a jellyfish.
You're not being a jellyfish.
Yeah, totally. I just think anything like too forced, right? Like it has to make sense for you. And I think even with my brand, like, yeah, to be honest, when we first launched it, it didn't really make sense with my personal brand. And I think switching it up to make more sense with that actually not only made more sense from a marketing perspective, but made more sense from me just making content around it, because now I feel so much more connected with it and I can actually
it's so much more
speak to it as personal, not just like, oh, I'm the founder and I'm speaking to it. So it definitely, and like, yeah, I think also too, don't focus too much on the failures. Like even when you mentioned the possibility of you shutting down before like this all happened, you were still focusing on the fact that like you did come so far with making it. And I think that's so important to highlight, because it's so easy to focus on like the failure of it, but at the end of the day, like you did start something that most people do not do.
Yeah, and I feel like that's why so many people are scared to do content or start a business, because they're like, how embarrassing when it's flopping. And it is embarrassing.
Yeah,
like,
it is
is
embarrassing. I did for literally years, and people would be like, your views are still not going up, and I'm like, yes, but I love it, you know. So but you really just have to like, that's what I mean, like if you truly love it, like you will keep doing it and kind of like take on that embarrassment. But if you don't, then like you're just
which is also fine. It's just not your thing.
Not your thing. It's not gonna be from, I always say like not everyone, you know, if we were all brand founders out here, then the world wouldn't really work, you know. So like it's not for everyone, but if you kind of have that like passion in you and you want to start something, you just like don't be discouraged and like just start it, honestly. And like who cares about, like, because I always say too, like if 9 to 5 fails and we've tried everything and at the end of the day we're like, you know what, this is just not gonna work anymore, then I can take all that knowledge I learned and like on to the next, you know. Like
I feel like everybody thinks they're like the only person to ever fail at a business.
Right.
Like that's how it feels. It's like,
it does feel that way.
Because like how many people do you realistically know in your life who have started businesses, right? So you do kind of feel like the only person to fail.
True.
But when you look at the statistics, like many businesses fail. Yeah, most people.
And especially just even after a few years of even operating, like most brands don't make it past, like even if they are like surviving, like once they start to like try and scale up, like that's sometimes when things go down, because it's like hard to keep, you know, everything in line. Like how many people do you want to see on like Shark Tank, for example, who are like millions of dollars in debt because like sales were going really good, but then they bought a bunch of inventory and sales stopped going, you know. So it's like it's such like a timing and race to like line all the pieces up, and it's hard, but you know, it's also cool to try it, and it's kind of we'll take on a challenge, and then at the end of the day be like, I created this and people are buying it. So it's kind of cool.
It is like a kind of a good experience in a way to fail at things. Like you learn so much and it is so humbling. And I don't think it's a bad thing.
No, definitely. And like at the end of the day, I always say like we put money into it. Like I put lots of money into 9 to 5, but at the end of the day, like if I do lose that, like obviously you take on that risk. And it's like if we do like break even and then decide to like shut down the brand, like that's what happens, you know. But right now we're just gotta
make investments
all the time. So why not invest in something that you invest in you and something that you are passionate about? And I always think like if you like, not everything is like an amazing product, or at least not even just a good product, but not all things can be like marketed in a way that other people see the value of it. But I think for them
don't always align.
They don't. But like for a lot of times it's like if you create something that like is so helpful for you, most likely someone else like will find that helpful as well. It might be like more niche or not in other situations, but I think it's so important to look at. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for coming on LoudTalk, Lavi.
Thanks for having me.
It was so great to chat with you and get to know you, and I'm sure anyone listening is like, let me hear your story, because I love it. I like hear the passion, what you're talking about, and I'm so excited just to see Jellco at Sephora one day. I see it. I definitely see it. Well, yeah, with that, I'll ask you one last question, which I do like to ask on this podcast. So what's something you love about your skin?
My skin. I love how like resilient it is. Like I cannot believe how much my skin is healed. Every time I look at pictures, I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah, no,
That
your skin looks amazing.
and bounce back like that. Like and just like in general, we're able to bounce back from so much and
just heal and stuff.
Yeah, amazing.
And if anyone's seen Brooke on socials, her skin looks just as perfect in real life. It's actually insane. You have really beautiful glowing skin. I'll have all of her socials down below in the show notes of this video, as well as Jellco if you guys want to check it out. I'm so excited to try mine out. I'll definitely, if you guys want to see that, I'll probably put it up on TikTok pretty soon here. But yeah, thank you so much for getting loud with us today. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. And we also do post this podcast on Spotify, Apple, and all streaming platforms every Sunday at 7 a.m. MST. That is it for today's episode, and you'll hear from me in the next episode of LoudTalk Lavi. Bye, everyone!